Good day, everyone. I am Julian Esperanza from Group 1, your presenter for this topic, Globalism of Stiger and Modernization Theory of Rostow. So the objective of this presentation is to identify the goals of Globalism of Stiger and Modernization Theory of Rostow. Also to understand how the two authors came up with these theories. So the first topic to be discussed is Globalism by Manfred Stiger. What is globalism? According to Stiger, globalism is an ubiquitous term often used in an imprecise manner to describe general globalizing trends as well as particular systems of ideas and values connected to various globalization processes. According also to him, it is a political ideology that endorses globalization with certain norms, values, and meanings. So what are the goals of globalism? The goal of globalism is to provide organizations a superior competitive position with lower operating costs to gain greater numbers of products and consumers. So you might be confused with this because according to Stiger, he no longer used the term globalism. Instead, he used the globalization to broaden and emphasize the ideas related to this. So next, is what is the ideology of globalism? The concept of globalism is also classically used to distinguish ideologies of globalization, the subjective meanings from the processes of globalization, the objective processes. What are the five core claims of globalism? The five claims about globalism are that it is about the liberalization and global integration of markets. It can't be stopped. It is spontaneous and natural. It is good for everyone and further spread of democracy in the world. So difference of globalism and globalization. So globalism is talks about how a certain product can pass through a country unrestricted, while globalization offers jobs around the world related to political, economical, etc. So there are types of globalism, which are market globalism that seeks to endure globalization with free market norms and neoliberal meanings. Justice globalism constructs an alternative vision of globalization based on egalitarian ideas of global solidarity and distributive justice. Religious globalism seeks to mobilize our religious values and beliefs that are thought to be under severe attack by the forces of secularism and consumerism. The next topic is Modernization Theory by Walt Whitman Rostow. By the end of the Second World War, many of the countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America had failed to develop and remained poor. Despite exposure to capitalism, there was concern amongst the leaders of the Western developed countries, especially the United States, that communism might spread into many of these countries, potentially harming American business interests abroad and diminishing U.S. power. In this context, in the late 1940s, modernization theory was developed, which aimed to provide a specifically non-communist solution to poverty. In the developing world, its aim was to spread specifically industrialized capitalist model of development through the promotion of the Western democratic values. Modernization theory thought the third world should develop like the first world. There are two main aspects of modernization theory, which are explanation of why poor countries are underdeveloped, its proposed solution to underdevelopment. Modernization theory explained that underdevelopment of countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America, primarily in terms of cultural barriers to development. Basically, arguing that developing countries were underdeveloped because their traditional values held them back. Other modernization theories focused more on economic barriers to development. In order to develop, less developed countries basically needed to adopt a similar path to development to the West. They needed to adopt Western cultural values and industrialize in order to promote economic growth. In order to do this, they would need help from Western governments and companies in the form of aid and investment. Industrial refers to production taking place in factories rather than in home or small workshops. This is a large-scale production. Capitalism, a system where private money is invested in industry in order to make a profit and goods are produced or for sale in the marketplace rather than for private consumption. Modernization theory thought industrialization could drive development in poorer countries. There are alternative systems of production to capitalism. Subsistence systems are where local communities produce what they need and goods produced for sale are kept to a minimum. In communism, where a central authority decides what should be produced rather than consumer demand and desire for profit. What prevents development? According to modernization theories, obstacles to development are internal to poorer countries. In other words, undeveloped countries are undeveloped because they have the wrong cultural and social systems and the wrong values and practices that prevent development from taking. This is the Rostow's five-stage model of development. This is the Rostow's illustration of five stages of development, which consists of five stages. The first one is the traditional societies. This is the society that still use or depend on agriculture and have limited access to modern industry. Next is stage two, the preconditions to take off. This is the stage where they accept the Western aids in terms of science and technology, infrastructure, and industry. So this provides the conditions for investment, attracting more companies into the country. Stage three, the take-off stage. This is where the society experiences more economic growth and the new modern practices becomes the new norm. They are also willing to be urbanized and started to reinvest in the infrastructures wherein they generate more wealth and start to gain more consumers. So next is stage four, the drive to maturity, more economic growth and investment in education, media, and birth control. The population start to realize new opportunities opening up and strive to make the most of their lives. Next, stage five is the age of high mass consumption. This is where economic growth and production are at Western levels. So in this stage, you can see the results from the past four stages wherein they fully modernize the society. This is the variation of Russell's five-stage model. So there are the different theories stress the importance of different types of assistance or intervention that could jolt countries out their traditional ways and bring about change. So according to Hoslitz, education is most important as it should speed up the introduction of Western values, as well as urbanization. The theory here is that if population are packed more closely together, new ideas are more likely to spread amongst diffuse rural population. According to Ingalls, media is important to diffuse ideas non-traditional such as family planning and democracy.